Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. FNS has given his opinion on which teams he believes are going to qualify for Shanghai from the Americas, and he doesn't believe it's going to be especially close. Despite a big Cloud9 victory against EG yesterday, his belief is that the level of these teams is simply not good enough to compete with the top guys in the Americas, and also potentially around the world as well. Which of these teams, what upsets are there potentially going to be of these three? Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, Clove is going to be playable. So Clove, there were some bugs, but now Clove, of course, well, discussions on whether this agent is actually going to be viable or not. 10 says, well, Clove's abilities are actually pretty good, especially compared to something like ISO, potentially viable in competitive play. Others will say, well, still a bit of a ranked agent, effectively Reina, but on smokes. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see something at least. So, in the Pacific and in China, Clove is now going to be playable in week 3. So this is a cool change, and I believe this is happening elsewhere as well, that around the world. It's not just China, I don't think, in the Pacific. It's going to be any week 3 game. Clove is now usable in the VCT. So I suppose we'll see which team are the first to pull out Clove and see if they actually work in competitive play. This quickly from Sentinels, a bet to bet. They lost to Lev the other day, and we'll share what Zels has had to say in a couple of seconds here on that Lev series and the reality that they did not play their best Valorant, but they will need to bounce back rather quickly, because if you look at their groups and the super week that is to come, there are some very important games on the very near time horizon right about here. We've got to talk, though, about the Asian region, well, let's say the Pacific first of all, Asia Pacific, because Excurate, T1, honestly, I'm really impressed with this guy. Like, I liked him in the CS days when I used to watch him on Tyloo and those other teams that he was a part of, I'm pretty sure. It actually literally says Tyloo CS on screen here, so I must be blind. But, of course, brother to Forsaken as well. And he actually stepped in for Carpe to IGL T1 for their game against RRQ today. And, well, we'll see how that goes in a second. Now, Gen.G, they 2-0 Detonation focus me. DFM are definitely better now, I think. But, yeah, it's quite clear that they've got a bit of work to do if they want to take down Gen.G, but it was 13-8, 13-7, so comfortable, but not, like, absolutely crushing. So fair play to DFM because, you know, May had a great series here as well, but I just think that they have made a bit of a step. It's just not enough of a step right now. Global Esports, they went down to Talon. This was a rough one to lose, I think, and just the way that it's looking, I think Global Esports, it's another season where they're not going to get anywhere near the results they'd have wanted. I think it's arguable that they need to go back to the drawing board with their roster, because, I mean, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because last year, they had Texture, who is now cooking on that, of course, you know, Gen.G roster. Polvi, they bring him in to be their duelist. And, like, I'm not sure that he was necessarily so expensive to sign and all this, but he was at least expected to be pretty good. But no, it's Lightning Fast who does his best here, of course, the only Indian player on the team, and Polvi has a pretty rough time. So, just a strange team, Global Esports, and they dominate game 1. It was like, how do you go from a 13-4 dub on Talon's pick, and then get beaten in an unfortunate overtime on your own pick, and then just lose to the Lotus pretty emphatically? So, that was rough. Mentally, they got kind of boomed there, I don't know. But Talon, they got a win. Talon has just been a weird team, you know, like, they're kind of all over the place, to be honest. I know we saw this as well from, where is it, Frost, actually, yeah, who was former 100T coach, but he's obviously working with Talon now and says, yeah, can't believe how inconsistent we are. If we want to play at this level, we've got to have pride in what we're doing. Unacceptable to play this way 2 weeks in a row. The next 2 weeks we'll need to win to make playoffs in the group, which, of course, is very much true. Now, we've also got this series, T1 RRQ. T1 get the 2-0 dub emphatically. RRQ are legit. We saw that the other day. They're a solid team. But man, Excurate, iGelling Masterclass, Izu Masterclass. And I think, honestly, if you're Carpe, you're thinking, oh my god, this is, it ain't looking good, buddy, because they 13-6, and this ascent was definitely, like, they shouldn't have lost this, really, RRQ. It's their pick. They're up 6-3. And then they just, 5-3, 6-5, and then they just lose all those rounds in a row. So not great. And then they got pretty comfortably beaten on the Lotus as well. So Excurate on the Chamber while in-game leading is, well, it seems to me potentially doing a better job than Carpe did on the in-game leadership role. And is also fragging out better as well. So I think if you're Carpe, you're thinking, damn, this could get kind of sketchy, but it's also really cool for T1. The Excurate has just been a very impressive asset to this team, and hopefully that will continue. This, though, is another series. Let me just see how this is getting on. It's live as we are recording, and currently it is 4-3 for Bleed versus Zeta Division. So this is a game, I think somebody mentioned, maybe it was FNS mentions, that he is confident that maybe Bleed could win this series. And it's tough to predict Bleed to win much at the moment, given the way that they've played. But Zeta have not been great lately. So while some of you guys are watching this video, this series will be done. We'll discuss it tomorrow, I suppose, to see which team actually did end up coming out on top. Nice little 1v1 here. I guess we could just go live for Zest versus Uran, and Uran gets the kills. That's 4-4. There also was a little bit of drama here, actually, from a journalist who mentioned that global esports players aren't especially well media trained. Apparently, after they lose, instead of being, you know, nice and cordial, let's say, in the post-match interviews, they instead, like, basically just get angry at the journalist. So I don't know if this is true, but basically what he's saying is give them some PR training, because all they do is they just rude to the journalist, given the fact that they should be expecting harsh questions because they've been bad. So, I don't know, I thought that was kind of interesting. Stay tuned for any update on that. But I wanted to share a couple of clips on what this means kind of in the Americas as well. FNS was giving his take on the way the league currently stands. There was a big game yesterday in the Americas, Cloud9 versus Evil Geniuses. Goes Cloud9's way, we'll discuss in a second. And Cloud9, since their moves have no doubt made a pretty promising start to the season. But FNS believes it ain't going to be enough.
I mean, that was...
If there was ever any doubt that there's a clear top 4 in Americas and there's no one close, this game should give us all the answers. It just gives us all the answers.
The way they're calling in the mid round.
Okay, obviously, if any of those top 4 teams like have a terrible day, teams like this would still need to have an incredible day to be able to beat those teams. But just based on what I'm watching, if and when Lev, NRG, Loud, and Sentinels have even their like a decent day, they will obliterate these teams. That's my point. And more often than not, they're gonna have decent days, right? Not their best days, but decent days. So because of that, those teams just clear. Like, I can guarantee you that it's just so obvious who's gonna make it from Americas to Shanghai. It's just so fucking obvious already based off of what we've seen so far. Watch you be wrong though. I don't think I will be. I'm like 99% sure we're gonna see Sen. We're gonna see Sen in Shanghai for sure. In my opinion, we're surely gonna see Loud. I just don't see a world where like Loud's just proven too much. And then it's between NRG and Lev for the 3rd spot. There's no way anyone else will have a chance, is my point. None of the other teams are making it, in my opinion. It's Loud, Sen, NRG, Lev. One of those 4. 3 of those 4, sorry, are gonna make it for sure. There's just no room for anybody else. I'm sorry. Those teams are just far ahead.
I got humbled by Aspas, bro. Real. Hey, you guys know when I say I stand on business, but Aspas, bro, I don't know what he put in his cornflakes yesterday. Without Aspas, we would have won. Nah, we did not show up yesterday. Like, not even like, we didn't even show up like 50%. Like, granted, they played really well. Like, they had a really good game plan, and Aspas was just, I don't know, walking on water, bro. But that's alright. Even the best teams have off days, guys. It's fine. As long as we learn. Here's the thing about losing. Losing is good because you learn. Now, it sucks because if NRG don't lose a game, they're probably going to get 1st seed, which 1st seed is really big. John said it was all about an individual thing. Yeah, I mean, we just did not, I don't know. We're still, after winning Madrid, we're still trying to find ourselves again, like, if that makes sense. Not in the sense of, like, we're like a brand new team, but I think we're a little burnt. We're trying to stay, like, on top. Bro, a 13-11 getting ecoed 3 times, that is crazy.
So EG, they go down 2-1. I think the difficulty is for Evil Geniuses, and I know that it worked on their Lotus, right, and Cloud9 didn't look good here at all, and, you know, the Apoth flanks were kind of working sometimes, but I think for EG, they have some good ideas. Like, the coaching is still good, but they just don't have the talent now to execute on it. Like, I think this is inevitable, but last year, they got, you know, not blessed because they deserved what they achieved given the players that they signed, but, like, it just wasn't possible to maintain that level this year. Like, however good the coaching is and however good some of the ideas are they bring to the table, they just don't have the firepower that they did previously. And I think we see that in a series like this. I want to say, though, for Cloud9, they were impressive. Well, Oxy was impressive, and so was Rooney. Like, Rooney, I don't really know why they dropped him in the first place. Like, whenever I watched Cloud9's games last year, I was like, Rooney's legit, right? So I was confused why they got rid of him in the first place. They've now brought him back, and he's doing a stellar job. But yeah, LFT Oxy, man, hopefully this guy can find a team soon, because he was cooking, and it was the same thing on the final map. Like, this guy just single-handedly decided on the Rays to just smoke EG for the final 2 maps of the series, and he was just, you couldn't stop this guy. 76 frags. He's just so good. It's ridiculous how good he is. But yeah, Rooney and Oxy were the 2 stars of the show, and it seems like it's working out well. I think for Cloud9's side, from, like, let's say Vanity's point of view, as he says, not happy with his own individual level right now. Rooney was doing some IGLing for the team last year, so there's a question there for Cloud9. But I think the general feeling was from FNS that just based on the quality of the matchup, he doesn't feel like either of those teams, even Cloud9, despite their good start of the season, are in a position to really take it to the top dogs. They might be solid, but are they good enough? Now, sure, can they beat some of the better teams theoretically? Yes, of course you can. Will they is another question. So FNS is confident the Loud will bounce back and they will find themselves making it through to Shanghai. He reckons that Sentinels will, and then it's between Liv and NRG in his opinion to see who makes it next. I would say right now that it's possible that, you know, I'd take Sen and NRG the way they're currently playing it. And then to me, it would probably be between Loud and Lev, but I don't think it's quite as clear-cut as FNS says. I think maybe in terms, if you played like if every team played 100 series, then probably, yeah, you do see that. But just because there aren't that many series to be played, we've had quite a few, and there are all these to go, but there are not actually that many for each respective team. There will be some very interesting results here, I'm sure. So, yeah, Group A is already looking very interesting. NRG are 2-0, Cloud9 are 2-0, Sen are 1-1, G2 looked okay in that series, Crew are 2-0, Loud are 0-1. So, you know, you've got to just qualify firstly for the playoffs, and then once you get there, then that's probably when the better teams will come to the fore. And as Elsa says, they didn't play their best against Lev. They have more in the tank. But just to mention, there is a super week coming up, right? So you guys can see here from the 20th of April through to the 29th pretty much, or at least until the 25th. They're on 24. They're basically games every day. So there's lots of games going on in the near future, and that will massively determine what this situation looks like when it comes down to qualifying through. Is FNS right? Well, Loud need to bounce back to prove that to be true, and that C9 Loud game I think is going to be very telling in terms of the way the season goes. And then Sen Loud as well is going to be a bit of a banger because, yeah, Sen need to get more victories on the board. But I think it's okay with the games that are upcoming and the general weakness, I think, of that group Omega right now that the Sentinels and the other guys will play. But very much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.